Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series in the Akai MPC, where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. 94 Buddha at the end of my last stream was just asking about my opinions on and thoughts on the MPC One versus the MPC Live, and I gave a few, but I don't know if he caught them, so I figured I will just do an N5 video because I'm sure other people will be interested, and I don't think a ton of people catch the streams, but a lot of people catching my N5 videos. Anyway, I'm going to start by saying the MPCs, by and large, are almost exactly the same for how they function. There's just a few specific details that can matter. So I might get a few of these things wrong. Feel free to go just check the specifications. If anybody wants to post any corrections on anything I say weird, or you got your own opinions, feel free to drop them. But I'm totally telling you, whether you go for the MPC One, MPC One Plus, MPC Live, the Live 2, MPC X, or MPC X SE, they are all running the same firmware. There are very, very subtle interface changes, mostly around like what your audio inputs and outputs are, what your CV access is, if you have Bluetooth or certain network connection support. But by and large, it's going to work the same. So you can ask questions, and people that have different devices are frequently going to be able to answer them for you, which I think is a great feature of them. And besides that, the ecosystem, I would say, is pretty good. Like lots of plugins and things that run on all of them. The main big difference about having the available extra memory on the MPC X SE just means you can load more plugins or like key groups and samples and all that stuff. But if you're, I mean, for me, for a long time, I've just been using like, I don't know, 40 seconds worth of sample time, chopping stuff up and going with it. So I typically haven't needed that much memory, but definitely as I've been going in and using plugins more, I've found I've hit some memory constraints or memory problems that wouldn't necessarily have existed in MPC 2, but in MPC firmware 3, because you can't have multiple tracks going to the same program easily. It becomes a little bit more of a problem. So that said, I think the MPC One, especially the base model, is an absolutely fantastic deal. Like, go look on Reverb, you can get them very inexpensively. But the thing that you want to know is it only has two outputs. So I've got the two outputs connected here, but because you only got two outputs, it makes doing like certain things a little bit more difficult, or I'll say impossible or noisy. The nice thing I can do with this MPC, because I've got 6 outputs, is I can hook it up to the SP404 Mark II or guitar pedal effects or whatever. All I need to do is assign them to outputs 3 and 4 or 5 and 6, and then I can send it out to this whatever I want for an external device, and then have it take its outputs and send them back into the Akai MPC. Then I can go resample things, I can run it into the looper, or I can do all kinds of fun stuff that I can safely send the audio over, and I don't have to worry about, am I creating a feedback loop or going to, like, ruin some gear by sending out like super high frequency sounds or anything. That's not a problem. And it's not to say that you can't use the MPC One with an SP404 Mark II, but usually at that point, you're going to just want to go have one send the output to the other, and then the output of that second device is going to go to your speakers or headphones. If you start doing looping, then you have to make sure you have your monitoring up and down, one up, one down, and kind of keep going back and forth. And then you're kind of moving where your headphone jack is connected in between the two. It's a little bit of a pain. That said, you've got USB ports on the back of all of them. You can use an external USB audio device, which is super handy. You can use an external MIDI device if you need more MIDI jacks. So there's even the MPC One, you can make it as capable and competent, except for the memory change and the some of the CV potential differences between them, or Bluetooth and stuff. Like, as I said, there's like these subtle differences that you might not be able to cover, but by and large, you can get external devices to cover a lot of those gaps. That said, personally, if I was looking, or I've suggested to some other people, absolutely look at the MPC One, especially, and the One Plus. I think that they're both like a phenomenal deal for what you get for a hardware device, with all of the ecosystem and plugins and samples and all that stuff. I think they're great choices. I would suggest, though, it's not a bad thing to go look at the MPC Live. Like, the Live 2 certainly has some extra features and functionality that, like, I was excited about and to upgrade into, but I don't think they're necessary. So I would say go consider looking at the MPC Live. The battery is probably going to be your biggest problem in that it's like probably it's like 8-ish years old now for a lot of those batteries. They may be dead, they may not have been taken care of or anything, so you may need to replace it. And I think it's like it might be $200 to go replace on through MPC stuff. You might be able to go source your own batteries or something if you're handy that way, but I think for most people, it's going to be a little bit of a pricey proposition to go upgrade. That said, even if you're not going to use the battery on an original MPC, even just as a table device, I think it's great. Besides that, the MPC Live 2, I do actually think a lot of people underestimate or kind of undersell how useful it is having a speaker built in. Do I use this most of the time? No. But when I'm on the couch or I want to take this with me and go do something, I don't always have to be stuck to headphones to work with them. So I do think like the speaker's a nice addition and functionality without fully making it bigger. But the Live, obviously, the original Live doesn't have this, so it's a little bit easier to throw this in a backpack or like a carry-on case or something. Anyway, guys, I don't know if this is helpful for you, but I would just say, yeah, if you're into the MPC ecosystem or interested, go check out prices on used stuff. The MPC One, I don't know, I've seen them like for $300 or $400. The MPC Live, I've seen, like the original one, I've seen is like low as $400. So I think you get some great deals out there. A lot of people are, I think, hoping that there's going to be a new MPC coming out. So I think they're trying to offload some of their gear and get ready for potentially next one. I haven't seen any news that there's a new one coming. So, I mean, for me, I'm sticking with this for now, and I totally love it. Anyway, guys, thanks for stopping by. Keep making music. Keep having fun. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. And peace.